Welcome to Tiny Hands Big Dreams here on the homestead. We have an important conversation we wanted to share with you. It's a controversial conversation, perhaps. You may or may not agree with it. It may make you upset. It may make you think. That's actually our goal.
These are the conversations we have
amongst ourselves. And it's very difficult sometimes from your life, your thing, your going, your stuff. You got your blinders on. You got all your kids, your work, your stuff, your house. You're trying to take care of this. Your neighbor saying something. You got all these things to stop, pull back in big picture, and look at your life as a whole in like the larger shapes and go, is this good for me?
Is this for my family?
Right. Is it good for my health, their health, generationally good for health? Am I causing damage by just sort of like blindly going forward, trying to do the best job that I think I'm doing, as is told to me by all the influences?
So this is basically the idea of convenience. Our modern world is maybe not our, the modern world is full of conveniences.
Now, yes,
human beings want things to be easier. That is normal. That's
how we've advanced this far. And I guess we are sort of reverting back to an older pattern of humanity.
Things can go too far.
To where people used to spend 87% of their time simply finding food.
Well, things can go too far.
Yes.
The modern world, in my opinion, has gone too far with convenience.
There is serious amounts of people documented like damage of the modern kind of lifestyle. And we get into, the whole gamut of cell phones, children and their devices. Constantly having now AI answer a thing for you. You don't have to do research. You don't have to understand a subject.
You don't even have to write anymore.
You don't have to write. You don't know how to. You don't know how
to speak? Uh-oh.
Also this. It's no longer necessary to be able to physically write with a pen.
No.
You can simply dictate everything, and it's voice to text. You can get AI answers for everything.
Mm-hmm. You can have everything written for you by AI. You can have art created by AI and call it your own.
All these things. Now, everything is a trade-off. There is no, well, this is bad and this is good. Do not get into the black and white like arguments of things. Very, very little in this world is black and white.
Except that mosquitoes are terrible. Sorry. I think we all agree on that one.
Black. Negative of the devil. Could just die off.
Oh, God.
Those bitey flies.
Yeah, right?
But everything's a trade-off.
I mean, conveniences exist for a reason.
Look.
We use plenty of them.
I use a piece of tubing to carry the water down the hill to us so we don't have to carry it in buckets we made for ourselves. I am using right now a cell phone and a microphone to take a digital transcription of our likeness and our sound so that I can then convey it by satellites in space so that you can see it and clearly we can communicate. You know how long it takes to do this by clay tablet and then send it on a ship? Hopefully it makes it. You may have to rewrite it if the ship sinks. Maybe you get a response back.
Transfer of information is a wonderful thing. But specifically, there's the conversation of technology. But what about just the convenience of things?
Yes.
So the world at large, or the modernized world, which I really think is a actual small portion of the entire population of the world, but that's a different discussion. The modernized world is very used to everything being delivered to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's rain. It's lovely. Everything.
There won't be cicadas.
There might be rain, but there won't be cicadas. We'll take it. Everything can be delivered. Just almost instantly.
And
to you. Whatever you want.
Sometimes within an hour.
Almost instantly.
Instant gratification.
Or
push a button, get a thing.
Less in some cases.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you don't have to cook.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to boil water for coffee. You literally don't have to do anything.
You don't have to own pots and pans.
You don't have to understand how to go to a grocery store.
No.
There are people that exist that don't go to a grocery store, that don't know how to shop, that don't understand it.
Specialization of skills is one of the things that is credited with all the advancements in human technology and knowledge, to where people can super specialize in a thing and not have to take care of all of the things, have a farm, make food, do stuff, they don't have to. They can spend all of their efforts simply focused on a single area of study and push it further. Now, this has led to amazing advances. Um,
But there's a downside to it.
yep. So my friend Jeff, I don't know if I've talked about Jeff. Jeff was one of Google's top algorithm coders. Brilliant in some ways. Invented a new form of math. Tried to explain it to me. My goodness. I have it on video. I've watched it since. I still can't understand it. But Jeff can't feed himself. Jeff can't do anything. Like, we took him to a grocery store once to go on a camping trip, and he literally could only buy snacks. He couldn't put them in a bag. He panicked. He almost ran away. He just ran away. Yeah, no. And he just, and I'm like, put them in the bag, Jeff. And I'm like, it's just dried fruit and nuts and stuff. You don't have to stack it right. And he just panicked. He's never had to do that. Food is provided to him, or he gets it, or everything is, he is so specialized. That's it. He doesn't know how to do anything.
And that's the argument for, with conveniences, you are then able to focus on other things. Mm-hmm. And if you are going to focus on something that is highly beneficial to the world,
sure.
If you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, you probably don't have time to do all of those things. That's great. Conveniences are valuable. But most of the people that take advantage of those types of daily conveniences are not using their spare time wisely.
No. So you take your conveniences and you free up a bunch of time where you just sort of doom scroll, exist.
Or you have to work a dead-end job to pay for your conveniences.
Right.
Is that really better? Now, some of this thought process came from, it's sort of a strange example, but so sweet chili sauce. We have been eating sweet chili sauce for so many years.
Since before we met.
You did, I didn't. You introduced that to me. It's your fault.
Standard Mayploy sweet chili sauce, a few bucks a bottle, comes from Thailand.
So much.
So good.
So great. We could go buy it.
Yeah.
Relatively cheap, relatively easy. Wherever we lived, we could buy it. We'll just keep buying it.
Yeah.
No, it was not until I was forced out of the convenience of being able to buy it,
right,
that I went, I can probably make this.
Because it literally didn't exist.
And otherwise, I was never going to make it.
No.
Because the convenience of buying it was right there.
Yeah. It's true.
Now, does that mean it's terrible to buy it? No.
And this isn't just us. There was a restaurant in Colorado Springs when I used to live there the first time, back around, let's say 2000, Yakubov's.
Oh, I remember you told me about that.
And Yakubov started because he went to Thailand and found this sauce that he thought was amazing, and he brought the sauce back and he started an entire restaurant of basically making a cross between a burrito and something and this sweet chili sauce, and he would put it on beef and things and stuff, and he would certainly oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it was it. And he was the only guy in town that had it. Nobody had ever heard of it. He based an entire restaurant on being able to buy this sauce. He could have also made the sauce.
Well, and then what happens, and that's the thing about convenience, if you rely on any sort of convenience and it suddenly goes away, you are left just sort of going,
And this gets into the bigger picture. This is a threat to your existence and to your life. You are reliant upon the convenience of, say, a debit card because it's convenient. And then the banking system goes down and everyone just sort of shrugs no food for you. Or the gas stations, their network goes down, or the banking system, which has happened, and then nobody can get gas. Guess you're stuck. It used to be when you got stuck somewhere, that's how town started.
It's true.
Why? Nobody to fix the wagon.
True.
Winter's coming. Well, build a house. Well, now we're here.
I will just stay. It's true.
Many a town has started because that's where the wagon broke down.
True.
Because people relied on somebody else to do the things. So they didn't make it to their goal of the California Navy.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know how to do all the parts to succeed in their entire journey.
Yeah.
Now, let me throw another one at you. So where this affects you as far as your health. You eat cereal, you're poisoning yourself. I say that without any sense of exaggeration. You are literally poisoning yourself. Every cereal, I don't know if there's any exemptions, is pretty much with some level of glyphosate, if not something else. They spray it on the crops to kill them and dry them out so they could get an extra harvest in per year. Cereals are loaded with it. I think it's what made me become gluten intolerant. Oh, that's big rain.
My goodness.
That's
Oh
big
my
rain.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're back. That was fun. We hit level 3 for a minute.
It was like 2 or 3 minutes of
Like
aggressive rain.
like the rain just like it got painful loud sitting here. After I turned off the camera.
Yeah.
And now gone. Beautiful day. We don't have to water. Everything's a trade-off. So, conveniences.
Conveniences. Where were we?
Well, I talked about like cereal. Like you eat cereal because it's convenient, it's fast,
Yeah.
you can just pour it in a bowl, but you are killing yourself by doing so.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should eat cereal anymore. Like honestly, we don't. And
I mean, some are definitely worse than others. There are, but none of it's good.
none of it's good. Yep.
Now, even if there are plenty of conveniences, if you're looking in the food realm, that are not bad. It's not a bad thing. They're not bad to consume or buy or anything. But is that the way you want to live? It's expensive. All those things cost money.
Mm-hmm.
And they also cost self-sufficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a choice that every person has to make, but I don't think most people consider it because they just live in a world of convenience. So why would you not?
It is simply the way things are. Like you don't question it.
And it has become more and more and more so.
Why we're doing this video is most people do not even question the lifestyle that they live.
Having their groceries delivered or their
Especially the younger generation, they've never known anything different. Any answer at their fingertips in a second. Anything they want, they can just order it. It's there.
Something will now write their essays for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying, honestly. They will become completely incapable adults.
I did see a thing where teachers fighting back against using AI to write their essays for them. The teacher now takes all of their essays and hands it to AI to write individual quizzes on their own papers.
Oh, that's funny.
On the things that they read about and were talking about.
Funny.
And if they can't answer questions from their own paper that they wrote, that they should be experts on, then they fail.
That's good.
So there's this like war of AI and would just consume a bunch of extra power in the process.
But that's also not actually teaching the children things.
No.
But I don't know. And that's something, AI is a whole other.
It's a whole other thing.
Oh, boy.
But conveniences. Teflon pans.
Super convenient.
Super convenient. Drop an egg in, cook it up, dump
Don't
it
even
out.
think about it.
So, Teflon. Let me tell you about some Teflon and some fluoropolymer problems that you get when Teflon starts to break down or get overheated, which happens all the time. Like, does your pan have a temperature control? Does it turn itself off if it gets too warm on the surface? No.
Do you ever walk away and forget you turned it on?
Somebody else
I can do that with cast iron.
It. It's starting to go away. So now you're having a forever chemical that gets in your body that actually does endocrine disruption that you can't ever get out of your body.
Yeah.
Plastics, super convenient. Bottled water, things, plastic clothes, your average synthetic fabrics. It's all super convenient. It's all very nice. Latest studies are showing that I think it's 9 grams of plastics in your brain. In your brain, there is 9 grams of microplastics. Can't ever get rid of those. And I guarantee you they are breaking down into substances doing things that
You don't want in your brain.
you don't want.
Yeah.
Huh.
So those are sort of typical conveniences that many people use. But I take this even to...
I will bet the Amish do not have microplastics in their brain.
So I will take this even to a different level.
Okay.
In the modern homesteading world, which I have my personal issues with that phrase. I do.
It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid of what?
Homesteading and modernism.
Well, it's not necessarily a good thing. I think it goes against what a lot of people want out of homesteading. Because you are told if you consume any homesteading content, you are shown this different way of growing your food, raising your animals, cooking, that includes a bunch of appliances and fancy equipment, and you have to have this, and you have to have that. And
You want to have unprocessed chickens, do you? Here's the suite of equipment and the barn that you have to have.
Now, are those things more convenient to have? Some of them, yes, absolutely. As the person who does that job, yes.
Okay.
Some of them are completely unimportant and unnecessary.
But the amount of time that it takes to earn the money, to buy them, to maintenance them, to clean them every single time, versus just doing the job manually, the savings start to diminish.
But again, we'll go back to, what if you don't have power and your fancy plucker doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
Do you already have the skills? Do you know how to deal with your bird in any other way? Probably not. You're probably going to go, I don't know what to do. It just doesn't work. Sure. But there's also, this is just an example I wanted to bring up because it struck me oddly. We have put ourselves in a position, specifically with food, that's sort of my realm.
Yeah.
We've put ourselves in a position where, while we do not grow and raise all of our own food at this point, I still cook absolutely everything from scratch in the most basic level. We don't even buy flour. We're at a very basic.
We do not eat
ingredients.
Out. There is no delivery.
But even with the food that we eat,
but we're 100% cooked here, and then of the foods that we eat, we'll take a breakfast sandwich we had the other day that we have typically.
That you're having tomorrow. It's not even there.
A typical breakfast sandwich that she makes us that we have a few days a week is bread that is gluten-free, and it is made from grain that she mills. What else is it? Egg?
A whole bunch of stuff.
So that's that. There's meat, which probably comes from one of our animals.
That I've had to process and cure and smoke and things.
Yeah. There's cheese that was squeezed out of a goat.
So let me talk
about... Not as cheese, but it's milk.
A bad day. Okay, let me talk about the milk. The sun has come back. Let me talk about the milk. Because that's the point I want to make.
Yeah.
On some group about goats. Someone was asking, my goat just doesn't... I haven't trained my goat yet to a stanchion, and it's just kicking, and I'm like, that's a normal occurrence. And several someones just said, well, don't worry about actually getting the milk in a bucket. Don't worry about its cleanliness, just milk onto the ground until you can figure it out. This comes very clearly from someone who has goats that they milk for fun, for extra.
Mm-hmm.
This does not come from someone whose only source of dairy is going to be that goat.
First world problems.
If I don't milk the goat, if the goat steps in the bucket, which she did the other morning, and I was so mad, you don't come back from that. You just don't come back from it.
Bleach the bucket.
Bleh. If something like that happens, there just isn't milk.
Yep.
Which means maybe there isn't going to be cheese for the breakfast sandwich, or there isn't milk for my coffee, or there just is not that thing.
Yeah.
If I don't make the sweet chili sauce, you are sad.
It's true.
The same with the hot sauce, the bread, all of those things.
Yeah.
If I don't make it and plan for it, it doesn't exist. And that's true because we've put ourselves in a position where we do not have those conveniences. Now, obviously, we have some conveniences. We still go and buy food.
We do.
We buy tapioca starch. I don't have to do that process.
If you ever looked up making tapioca starch.
Maybe someday I'll do that.
Yeah.
But I only know how to do these things because I was forced to learn.
Now, that being said, to go to all the trouble to force to learn this, like, yes, most people don't have to. If there's ever some sort of terrible calamity, the people that do know how to are suddenly incredibly valuable.
Yes.
They're the ones that they still have. But more than that, what is produced by you is of a higher quality, and without the unknowns and the sketchiness and the chemicals of what is conveniently provided.
Yes.
That everybody else buys.
That's true.
You could grow your own blueberries, strawberries, something like that. It's a pain. I'll just buy some. They will have pesticides, and I know because we're sensitive to them. We get really bad headaches. You'll have problems if you're like us, or you grow them yourself, and they're delightful, and they go bad in a day or two.
But kind of my point, I guess, is that for me, and I think for some people, it's a personality thing. Some of those things I never would have done if I didn't have to. So everyone says, oh, it's great. Prepare for when you don't have this, or prepare for when you don't have that. But some personalities, or just some situations, I'm busy. I was always busy. We were remodeling a house.
Sure.
I painted all the day and all the night, all the time.
Yeah.
We were also trying to move to Ecuador. We're doing all these things. Of course I was going to use the convenience of
Because you
going and buying the things.
Specializing your time to
Yes.
accomplish a goal.
Yes. I was never going to get to the point of being like, oh, let me figure out how to make sweet chili sauce, because I don't have the time.
You still processed animals.
Well, because we couldn't get that anywhere else.
It's true.
It made us feel unwell or made us sick. So then I was forced to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't ever, I want to learn how to process an animal. It was by necessity of, well, if we want pork that makes us feel good, that tastes good, that we enjoy, and makes us healthy, then I'm going to learn to do this thing.
That's the only answer. Yeah.
Everything has been, and maybe forced is too strong of a word, but...
No, it existed. We could have bought it.
We couldn't have.
Well, we couldn't have.
That's my point.
Because it was like $25 or $35 a pound for just pork.
Did not have the ability to have the convenience.
Yes.
Therefore, I was forced.
Yes.
And that's my point. It's not forced in a bad way, but it was a...
Necessity is the mother of invention. It has been said many a time.
And it's either invention or just knowledge, learning. I had to learn to do these things. Most of the things we've done here, we have learned because we needed to.
Yep.
Some is because we like it. Most is because we need to.
Yep. Most people learn how to change a tire on their car. Either A, because someone older than them decided that was important, you should learn this, or B, they're stuck on the side of the road going, well, I'm effing stuck.
Yep. And then you figure it out. Some people don't.
Some people don't.
Personality differences.
I don't like getting stuck.
No. Getting stuck is scary.
I'll find a way.
But I think that people get so stuck in their conveniences. In every little way. Well, the power is just there, and the water is just there, and the food is just there, and I can go buy it. And I can have it delivered, and it just appears. I pay a bill, and it's here, and it's fine. Or someone fixes my car, or all of those conveniences.
Someone teaches my kid.
All of those conveniences. Or I sit my kid in front of the tablet or the TV or something.
Be like, here, just watch something.
Because it is easier.
I don't have to deal with you, entertain you, teach you, correct you, manage you.
In some ways,
clean up after you.
Yes.
But
what does it harm?
You kind of get out of it what you put into it, and you're not putting anything into it. So,
yeah. Well, so the kid.
Yeah.
Because that was a topic I know you wanted to talk about. Specifically just like the children growing up with these levels of convenience that means they don't have to learn to be a person.
Toys.
They just have to learn.
Let's go to toys. Toys are a convenience.
I'm going to talk about me and the ant.
You are provided a toy as here, play with this, so that you don't have to figure out something on your own, or I don't have to do it for you. I grew up with some of my own toys and some that were handed down because that was a time when toys were durable and they would make it through several generations. Several.
Many. Right.
I don't think any of the toys that I played with in my childhood, like at my grandmother's house, were ever mine, and I'm pretty sure they were played with for 2 or 3 generations after me that I know of. I did not destroy any of them.
No.
That was me. But you tell a story of this one time you played with an ant. Tell the story.
That makes me sound so lame. I don't know. I had to be like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I just remember, snippets of memory, being in our basement, and we had like a wooden box, like an open-sided box that like we stored blocks in or something. And I tipped it up. I don't know what I was doing, and there was just like one ant. This was, back when there weren't just ants in your house all the time.
Yeah.
And there was just one little ant. I'm like, oh, what's the ant doing? I'm sitting there and I'm playing with him, and I'd like put things so he'd stop, and then he'd like go a different direction, and I could like play with him. I don't know, I did that for a long time. I sat there by myself. There was no TV on. There was no music on. There was no toys with sounds. There was no anything.
So if you provide a child an empty box, the box is limitless as to what the box could be.
Yeah.
It's a train and a spaceship and a helmet and a storage device and a thing and a something and a this, and it'll keep going. You hand them a box with buttons that make specific noises.
It's gonna make that noise.
And that's all it ever does. And they're done with it almost as fast as like they've pushed all the buttons for a while. And they're like, eh.
Mm-hmm. That's it. There's no creativity.
There's no creativity.
No imagination, nothing.
By giving your children toys, you're actively destroying their creativity and imagination.
Now, there are toys that do help with that. I mean, we can take Legos as like the ultimate example.
Legos are pretty good.
Old Legos. And this is a problem with either the toy manufacturers, I don't know which came first, chicken or the egg. Was it children being less and less imaginative? Somewhere, children don't just become less imaginative. But Lego
as a company has taken a very like they have a political sort of like agenda thing framework that they operate under. Only people they hire are a certain way.
But what I mean is that the pieces when I was a kid, which now Eli has, which is awesome.
Square, rectangle.
Oh, you got your lights and your things and your
bigger
stuff.
square.
You've got all these
rectangle.
pieces. Well, I mean, I had some cool pieces. Like we had lots of little pieces and things to build spaceships and stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
Those are my brother's Legos that now he has.
Yeah.
But now you buy Legos. And I remember we were trying to buy Eli Legos when he was really little, and it's like the whole car is a Lego, one piece. And I'm like, what are you doing with
this? The whole frame. And then there's a bunch of specialized pieces for the windshield, the doors, and the things, and this and that, and they're all specialized, and they only fit that, and they don't do anything else. And you can't do
anything with that car except make a car.
And there's almost no universal piece in that kit. But it used to be a kit of Legos was 100% universal.
Always, that was the whole point.
So they've now transitioned from this completely universal, use your imagination, to just put it together to look like a model.
I'm like, well, that's killing imagination right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because Legos used to be like the ultimate, oh my gosh, my brother and I would spend days playing with Legos because it was endless.
Yeah. And now it's just about buying more different kits.
And they're kits now, less...
And you can't mix up the kits because they're so specialized, you'll just screw up the kit.
Right. It's very strange.
There's a store somewhere in Washington.
Everett?
It might be Everett.
Everett.
It might be Everett. There's a Lego store.
That's the coolest place.
And we were there once, and the guy buys Legos off people the internet thinks by the pound. And then he dumps them out into bins, and they're sort of dumped into bins, things. And he also has kits and stuff that he'll sell like secondhand. You can buy them by the pound. You can just like take a scoop.
You can also pick.
You can sit there and you'd be like, I just want all of the wheels and tires.
That's how the child has so many wheels and tires, is because he wanted wheels and tires.
I remember that.
And I'm like, okay, get wheels and tires. So we got a little like
for like $3, like we bought a whole like plastic cup full of like wheels and tires.
That's awesome.
Which you could do. There was a official Lego store somewhere we went to, and you could also do the same thing. It was much more expensive, and then they got rid of the wheels and tires.
Monsters.
Because everybody was going after those.
Well, that's not.
And they were more expensive, so they just
not the answer.
stopped carrying those. Good job. So creativity. What does creativity lead to? Well, it leads to a person who doesn't get stuck and is successful in life, who gets themselves out of jams, who
can create interesting things in the world.
Who is probably happier. Is the point of all of this to be happy in life? Is the point of you to be happy in life? Do all of these gadgets make you happy?
Do all these conveniences actually make you happy? What are you doing with them? And I think that's what I always want to...
And people couple, well, if I get the new this or that, then I'll be happy.
Well, and then there's... I always get stuck with, okay, so there's all these conveniences. So you want to use AI to write something for you. Okay, so it's... I get the AI commercials all the time on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't know why you think I want this. I am not your target audience. But, writing an ebook in 5 minutes. Okay, great. You're going to do all these things in this shortened amount of time. You're going to spend no time going grocery shopping or making food. You're going to spend no time writing anything or making art or anything that AI does now. All these conveniences. What are you doing with that time? Like actually, what are you doing with that time?
What are you doing at the time you save?
If you're doing something beneficial, if you are... I don't know. There are perhaps situations where using those conveniences allow you to do something beneficial, interesting, valuable. The vast majority of people that use those conveniences or that sit their kids in front of a screen are not doing anything of value at that time.
No. And then they wonder why they have behavior problems and things, and
or they have
come
to
with
go
their
to
horns.
therapy.
Like, well, I'm stuck. Well, I don't know. This and that. I have to go to therapy because they can't deal with something. They can't deal with their own problems. You can't deal with it either because you did the same thing.
No, I mean the adults having to go to therapy because you're so unhappy because
the therapy itself
sure.
is a convenience.
Well, but sure, and I agree, and I have my issues with it. But to stay on target, there is such a level of anxiety and depression and just general unhappiness in the world, the modernized world. Maybe everyone just has too much free time where they're not doing anything beneficial. If you have, let's say...
Gosh, I remember just going outside and building forts and igloos out of snow.
So much fun.
What did it cost? I mean, if we get some chunks of wood to like sort of package thing. At one point we had like a brick maker, but that was
yeah, I remember the brick makers.
That was later on in my childhood.
Those were great.
Whoa!
So cool.
Yeah.
But if people actually worked harder at life, just in general at life.
Yep.
And I don't mean in a, you should, I don't know, there's also the culture of like, grind, work really hard. I don't agree with that.
The work hard, play hard, like...
No, the work hard.
Oh.
You should just work hard. Work really, really hard until retirement. I don't really buy into that either, because you might die before retirement. I'm just saying you should enjoy your life. But what if, instead of sitting around, scrolling on your phone, or watching reality TV or something, what if you actually learned how to do one of those things? Learned how to cook. Learned how to fix your car. Learned how to do something.
Learn how to make yourself a set of plates and bowls out of ceramic. This is what I've been sitting around doing lately. Then I look up and things that we're building a kiln, and besides the fact that we're going to use it to build our own house, and I'm going to use it to make plaster, we're also going to play with some pots and bowls and plates and things and sculptures.
Now, conveniences like the internet, which is our biggest probably convenience that we have, which we debated having. Because I do think there are negatives to it. We all spend far too much time staring at a screen.
It's true.
It's just fact. But we can also use that convenience for good. Yes?
Yes. And we try to.
And we try to.
Somewhat.
You
We're
learn
not
something
perfect.
that's interesting. Some enjoyment is not a bad thing. You can just watch something stupid because it makes you laugh.
I try to spend a significant amount of time using it to learn, and I actively, like, what am I doing right now? If my brain is done and I'm tired and I'm sweaty and I've just been doing stuff, like, sometimes I don't really care. I'm just going to see what's going on in the world, catch bits of information, things, something, plane crash, this, that, oh, there's like a new president, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't have the brain left. But there's other times where I actively, it's a tool, and I'm going to utilize it.
And and I don't think that conveniences like that are a bad thing. It's how it's being used, if it's being overused, and who it's being used by.
Yep.
But I'm just watching the world as a whole stop being able to do things.
And then they're using the tools for evil.
Well, there's that too.
There's a rise of machete attacks in cities. And I'm like, why would you have a machete in a city? A machete is a tool for clearing weeds and brush, and it does a very good job. We use them all the time. We have like 4. Even the child has one.
But it's a tool.
But you don't have weeds. You don't have brush to clear. You're in a city. You probably don't even have a permit, depending on where you're at. So what do? So you end up like attacking other people.
Whatever tool there is can be used for good or bad. And I just see a certain trajectory for a lot of the world. And I worry about future generations being truly incapable of doing anything for themselves. We're already seeing it.
So when you get into it, there was a generation that grew up, let's go back to like the car generation that grew up in the heyday of the 50s. Born in, say, the 30s. Childhood, there was, World War. The 50s. I'm just watching something up there.
That's back goat up there. It's okay. Not a wild animal. Just a wild goat.
And the 50s came around, and they had like all their hot rods. Their car culture was huge. They learned how to work on cars. They learned how to hot rod them. They learned like racing of all forms came out of that time period of those people. That's what they had. They had like a car. They didn't have a lot of this.
Eli, stop! No. Don't take the leaves off the banana that's being held up by a stick. It could fall. So car culture. They learned how to do it. They were like, where are they now? Well, they're mostly retired, and they have a car that they probably don't work on because nobody works on cars anymore. You can't. It's conveniently controlled by a computer, run by a series of wires. The only people that understand it all, and not very well anymore, is the dealers. But mostly, even then, they don't actually do true diagnostics half the time. They just, what the computer says is to change a part, they change a part, and then they're like, oh, I don't know, we can't fix it. And I'm hearing more and more people with big fancy cars go, I don't know, the dealer just says they can't fix it. And I'm like, what the hell kind of answer is that? I can't.
What backwater dealership did you take a car to where they just like...
Because they don't know how to do anything either, and they're just relying on the technology to be like...
And these are the trained technicians at the dealership with all of the tools available.
But all they're trained to do is use the computer. That's it. That's all there is.
When I used to work on boats, this was back in, say, the early... I don't even know when I was there. Maybe it was the early 2000s. I used to work on boats. I don't know, it seemed like fun. I got a boat for free. Terrible idea. And then I went and I found a guy who had a boat shop, and I said, hey, I need to work here. And he just sort of looked at him like, no, I have a boat, and it needs a lot of work, and I can't afford to fix it. So I need to learn how to fix it. And he looked at me a little more. He was an old timer, like a true old timer. And he's like, all right, you show up on Monday. We'll see how you do. And he didn't pay much, but I didn't care. I was learning. And I learned how to do it. And now I know how to do that.
But that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there are pockets of that ability, but...
a couple years later, another job, which was the dealership. He was just a little private guy. And immediately, within months, I was put on the prestigious jobs.
Because you knew how to do the thing.
The big fancy boat that came in, the cigarette boat, the huge, like, 1,000 horsepower thing owned by a guy who shows up in his Ferrari. And, why don't you do this? It's given to me. And all the senior mechanics are just looking at me like, and the boss finally told me, he's like, you're the only one that knows how to do diagnostic work. The rest of these guys, and they've been doing it for much, much longer, they don't know how to, like, diagnose a problem. And I remember once with that same customer with the Ferrari, gets his boat back to his storage unit, plugs it in, and says, you screwed up I put in new batteries and chargers and things, and he wanted like a full setup so he could watch TV out in the lake or something. I don't know. And he goes, you screwed it up. Charger says it's wired wrong. Big yellow light says incorrect wiring. Oh, it's like a big deal. The boss makes me get in the Ferrari and go to the dude's storage unit, like off-site. And I get there and I'm this and that, and I'm going through and I'm diagnosing. I'm like, it's not my work. Your building's wrong. And he just, what? No, isn't that? He called my boss. He chewed my boss out for sending me over there, and I explained it to him and this and that. And I'm like, the wiring in the building is wrong. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if he brings the boat back and plugs it into ours, it will work again. And finally, and I was asking him, like, was anyone out here working on your building? Well, yeah, last week they came out and they, this or that, and they did a little bit of, like, maintenance. I'm like, your building's wrong. Diagnostic, like, kind of work. That was a funny story. And then he politely drove me back. And they came and fixed his building. But to learn how to, like, and now, if there's a problem, I can do it. And I go places and people are like, oh, I don't know. Like, they just don't know how to do stuff. How do you just not know how to do things?
Now, that being said, I don't know how to do those things.
That's true.
Everyone has their own, like...
Sure.
Not everyone should be able to do everything, because that's a crazy thing to assume.
You cannot do literally everything. Somebody in some factory, I don't know where, makes my socks. And I love them dearly. I would hug them if I could.
There are clean ones back there. You can hug them.
I know, probably a little Asian person somewhere, because that's where a lot of those come from. I can't make socks. I do buy them.
Now, if we could no longer get socks, that would be forcing us to figure out how to make the socks.
There is an open source project of people who have figured out how to make a sock knitting machine out of 3D printed pieces.
Now, are we going to do that right now?
It's a rabbit hole. It's a cool video. You've never seen this crazy thing like spin and move and something, and you crank a handle and it makes a sock.
It's really kind of cool. First time we watched it, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But that's, again, are you forced to do it? Are you forced to learn how to do it? No, because we can buy them, mostly. I mean, at some point, if we can't get some more imported, we'll figure out how to make them.
Out of banana leaves.
I think more people should be uncomfortable, should stop having things, using conveniences. Because if you are the kind of person who is just going to use the convenience because it's there, which is most people, stop having it. Just stop. For me, I mean, I have become far more creative with cooking, being here, because if I want it, I'm going to figure it out. And I have.
And you figured it all out.
And I figured it out.
Because we couldn't get xanthan gum, which is a staple of gluten-free cooking, you have figured out how to make all of the delicious things more delicious.
Most of the things.
And more fluffy and structural, which is not possible without the xanthan gum.
Because I was forced to, because we could get it, and it was expensive and hard to get, and I went, well, I'm not going to use much of it, so I'm going to figure out a different answer. Because I was forced to. And I think if people were more willing to be uncomfortable and forced into situations where they don't have their conveniences, they would become better people.
And this applies to children.
Oh, very much so.
How many of all of the great artists of all types, of songwriters, of poets, of you name it, how many of them developed that ability, that sense of self, that way to express themselves based on being happy and comfortable their whole life?
Almost none of them.
Dog!
Toby, no! Stop.
What is wrong with you?
Go lay down.
You're not a tugboat. So, yeah, like songwriters and writers in
Yes.
general, and people, things, conflict, turmoil, dark
That's
times
my best
lead
writing.
to
When I'm happy, there's no writing.
la 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 la.
I've gotten better at that, but like, no.
But that's part of the human condition. You have to put yourself into uncomfortable in order to stretch, to build that the muscle of self, to then expand and be more capable. And being more capable in the world probably makes you happier in the end.
Yeah.
On a
But you have to be
philosophical level.
uncomfortable for a little while.
A person who is so when they get into like they talk about kids that were raised by rich parents. Like, oh, you were just a silver spoon kid, you got everything, this and that. What do they turn into? Everybody knows this. Everybody knows.
Most of them don't turn out
They had everything
so
handed to them. They probably got handed a job, a thing. They sort of fail upwards a lot, and they're...
We all know what that is.
And then there's the person who is just happy to be alive and free and not in some sort of communist regime, and start a business and do a thing, and they work their butt off to get to a point, and they are just tickled pink to be able to do that, and they do better and better and better and better, and they build things, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So is the moral of the story to be really uncomfortable?
Sometimes. I'm not going to say that, like, we wouldn't enjoy a TV, which we don't have, or a couch.
I wouldn't enjoy a TV. Have you watched TV?
No.
You don't watch TV.
Not actual TV.
Oh, not actual TV.
The
just
physical
a screen
display device.
Got it. I also like 8-Man. Our
8-Man.
little projector.
So we have 8-Man.
I like little 8-Man.
I don't even... It was cheap.
It was
Was
like
that another $100?
It was so cheap.
It's this little thing called 8-Man. It's a little projector. It's not super fancy crazy, but it is LED, which means it doesn't have one of the stupid little bulbs that blow out every couple hundred hours. And you can just put a memory stick in with some movies on it that you, of course, pirated off the internet.
No, you don't.
I'm sorry,
no one does that.
Copied from your... You can't even copy it.
No, it just appears.
Yeah, I don't know where you get it.
Or it just appears now.
And then you can, like, show a movie on the wall of something from back in a time when things were simpler and comedy was real and you could say whatever you wanted.
Or Little House on the Prairie. You know.
Which I've never seen.
At least you've watched Firefly. We had to establish that early on.
At least I watched Firefly.
It was important. But I mean, literally, like that's the kind of convenience that I'm on board with.
We haven't seen 8-Man in 3 years.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe once in a while. Just once in a while.
So eventually we'll have a house where we can do these things. We may have a couch to sit on.
Oh boy.
But until then, we're doing videos and digging things and...
You know what? Be uncomfortable of our plastic seats that we're currently sitting on.
It's good motivation.
It also is going to make us appreciate the heck out of some cushions. Cushions! It's going to feel amazing.
Yeah.
Having walls that are solid. And a room you can stand up in. It doesn't have a zipper.
Potentially without bugs.
Be uncomfortable also makes you very appreciative of the things that are more comfortable.
Which makes you happy. Because it gives you perspective.
Yes.
Perspective, perhaps, is then critical. There's people that have all sorts of stuff and things and
they're not happy.
And food's provided for them, even very good of everything, and they're not happy people. But if you took it all away from them now, they'd be more unhappy. Maybe you did it wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't have that. And I remember people talking about, I remember when I was a kid, and even as a kid, like, we knew, like, the super rich kids at our school, and their parents tried to push them, but it was a lost cause. And like, we remember talking about, even like in college, like, yeah, well, if I ever get super rich, like, we're not going to raise our kids like that. We'll have money, but we'll just have it in secret, and we'll live sort of poor, so our children do not end up like that.
Right.
To gain the abilities and the things and the perspective.
Develop like a proper human being is supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. All right.
With that said, I have to go make some food.
It is a beautiful day. We're going to reclaim the rest of it. There's no cicadas, there's no sun, there's no rain.
It's actually pretty nice.
It is a beautiful day. Not a green screen.
Mm-mm.
Look, I can poke it. All right.
Oh boy.
Subscribe if you haven't. We do all sorts of interesting shenanigans on conversations, on homesteading, on
Building a house, building a kiln, Ecuador.
building a property. Gosh,
all kinds of
grittiness. None of it is done wearing an apron because we're real like that.
I could use an apron once in a while, okay?
Thanks for watching. We will see you for the next one.